What up, MVPs? Rico Knows here. Going to talk to you guys about the next fight on the prelim card. It is Malcolm Wellmaker, undefeated 8-0. Shout out to him in Augusta. We'll get to that. And then Cameron Saaiman, 9-2 from South Africa. You know the deal. The line is practically a coin flip. So this is a pick 'em fight. Pick what you want. Half you're going to be right, half you're going to be wrong. But Rico knows. Let's talk about Cameron Saaiman first. From South Africa, like I said, trains on the same team as Dricus du Plessis, DDP, the world champ. And if you watch Cameron Saaiman's first interview in the UFC, when he was going on the Dana White Contender Series back in 2022, they're interviewing him before this fight with Josh Wayne Kim, and he says, I love working out in a gym with Dricus because he's a good example. He's the hardest worker there. He helps us all look better, whatever. Bro, you got into the UFC because you work out next to the world champ, and you don't even outwork him. You just stand there in envy of that man. Okay? Now, if you go back and watch that first fight against Josh Wang Kim, who names these guys, bro? Josh Wang Kim. Your Wang is showing. Cameron Saaiman's losing that fight. He's getting outclassed, outgunned, outstruck. And then he wins by knockout in the third round. And then he goes to the UFC, wins by knockout again. Then he gets a majority decision win, and then he wins by knockout again. And you see him beating up these terrible fighters. Stephen Kozlow, Manny Martinez, and Terrence Mitchell. Let's go find out what their records are. Stephen, 6-1. What's up, Stephen? It was a UFC debut, and you got knocked out in the third round. It was just his first time showing up. Never been back. I think we learned there's levels to this. You're beating up nobodies. Manny Martinez, 8 knockouts. Supposed to be a knockout artist. Show up. You've lost 3 of your last 4. Not back in the UFC. When he lost to Cameron Saaiman, they cut him from the UFC. And then Terrence Mitchell, 14-4. Terrence Mitchell been around. Nope. Lost his last 2 fights. They fed him to the Wolves. They fed him to Raul Rosas. I'm a superhuman junior. That man's got the ugliest face. I've never seen somebody with a nose wider than their mouth. Ever. A nose wider than their mouth. Shout out to Raul Rosas. But nonetheless, Terrence Mitchell here losing to Cameron Saaiman. So Cameron Saaiman looks like a world beater. And then they go, yo, he's beating these guys? Let's give him some dogs. First guy, Chris Rodriguez. Ragdolls this man for 3 rounds. Not even close. Fight was pathetic. Don't care. Next fight, Peyton Talbot. Striker, sniper, in a miniskirt. Whatever Peyton Talbot wears, that's his business. And Talbot knocks him out in the second round. So what have we seen, or what have we learned over the last 2 years? Because those are his only 2 fights since 2023. What we've learned is Cameron Saaiman is very limited in the UFC. Like, he's very limited in the cage. He cannot close the distance. I know he's 5'8", 135, but he's just not big enough or athletic enough to close the distance. And when you try to close the distance, especially with somebody like Malcolm Wellmaker, who's a superior athlete, okay, you're going to find yourself lunging forward to close the distance. You can't do it with footwork. You can't do it by just moving and striking and doing. No. This is a left-handed fighter, southpaw fighter. Typically, you'd be able to land those outside kicks. I don't think Cameron Saaiman's going to land those kicks. I really don't. Or I say outside kicks, those round kicks to the body. I just don't see them landing because he's not fast enough or athletic enough. So at some point, you got to get the courage to close the distance with the enemy. You got to be willing to crash in and get into striking range, if you call it, because you're at projectile range when you're further away. Anyways, he's going to have to crash in there, and when he does, I think he's going to be met with horrific strikes. I don't like Cameron Saaiman's chances. Now, what he can do, although you see all these knockouts that he fell in love with here, and he's been winning with knockouts against scrubs all over the world, I don't know. But what he can do is try to utilize wrestling. I just don't think he's physically strong. You know, the hardest thing to evaluate in the UFC is 2 fighters. You can talk about their striking acumen, their ability, their grappling, their wrestling, their takedowns, their submission. Like, you can talk about every aspect of fighting. But then there's one thing that we struggle with kind of anticipating, and that's how strong is that guy versus that guy? Like, does he have enough physical strength to finish the takedown? And I don't think Cameron Saaiman does. So while some people might think he has an advantage in wrestling, I don't see it. So then what is the advantage that he has? I personally don't see any of it other than experience in the cage, having fought in the UFC for a while. I've been watching him get ragdolled in the last 2 fights and not be competitive. Not even a little bit competitive, okay? On the other side, Malcolm Wellmaker. Shout out to Fagler's MMA. I drive by this joint every single day. That's on me, bro. Right next to Sam's Club, right off 520. I should have already went in there, introduced myself, rolled around a bit and all this. Those guys look like some awesome ass fighters and some great coaches. I should have went over there. That's my fault, man. I've seen their signs everywhere. Shout out to Fagler. So that's where he's training out of, here in Augusta. Local kid. And I'm going to pull for him. They said he went to Georgia Southern, dropped out, got into some trouble, and it took him a while to get on the scene. He did some amateur fights, and here he is, 30 years old, making his UFC debut. This tells me he's not some spring chicken. He's not going out there for the first time. He's been fighting for a while. You're 30 years old, you have 30-year-old man strength. And if you watch that fight, he was fighting a very experienced British fighter on the Contender Series, this Adam kid, Adam Bramhold. Bramhold went in there, and they all talked about how Bramhold was going to figure out timing and stuff like this. And this is very true. Some of the things I saw from Malcolm Wellmaker in that fight, the red flags, okay, the red flags are when he backs out of a combo or moves away from any type of striking, his hands are down. They're no longer protecting his jawline. So he puts his hands down, and he kind of leans away from strikes. Have you ever seen street fights on YouTube? You ever seen, or Twitter, wherever? You'll see a clip of people fighting, and you'll see a dude trying to dodge punches by leaning backwards. That's a terrible habit to have. Malcolm Wellmaker does this innately. Like, he leans, and yes, he has good head movement. He's hard to hit. He rolls his shoulders, but he doesn't protect his jawline appropriately. I don't think that matters in this fight. I think it's going to matter when he fights somebody that's a really good striker or boxer that can manage distance and angles. Cameron Saaiman is a fake striker. He pretends to be a striker, but if we get in that firefight, I don't think he wants to be there, okay? Another thing I'll say is Malcolm Wellmaker is a superior athlete. I've watched him throw a kick and his opponent catch the kick and then try to kick out his leg that he's standing on like a flamingo. He hops over the kick that comes while maintaining his balance with somebody holding his kick. Guys, this is some real shit. This is some real athletic stuff that I see from Malcolm Wellmaker. I think his kicks are vicious. It's like a whip. He's going to throw thudding calf kicks and low kicks, and Simon's not going to be able to dodge these things. They're coming a mile an hour, and they're heavy. Okay? He's also a switch fighter. You see it here. It says stance, switch fighter. He can fight out a right or left hand, and that's important because your opponent's going to try to spar with people who are left-handed, right-handed, and try to mimic what you're doing. This kid is a special kind of athlete. I shouldn't say kid. He's 30, right? This grown man is a special kind of athlete. So I'm on Wellmaker for a number of reasons. I think he's the more explosive fighter. I think he's the more experienced fighter, even though he hasn't been in the UFC that long. But I also think he's just a lot stronger, physically stronger. I think he can fight off a takedown, even though I haven't seen it. He looks like he has the right build to fight off takedowns. And on the feet, I think he can style on him. It's going to look good to judges. He's going to be styling on him. That's for sure. Now, remember, they're fighting in Kansas City. Who knows how these judges are getting down? But for me, it feels like Malcolm Wellmaker would be the pick I would make. Now, I told you it's a coin flip because Cameron Simon's an experienced UFC fighter. And Wellmaker's making his debut. Be careful. But if I'm assessing talent for talent, individual for individual, I'm on Wellmaker, and I have it as a lean here. Right? Which means leans, I'm right 65% of the time. Our locks have been ice cold this year so far. We're at 68%, 67%. But when I look at this lean at minus 115, on this entire fight card, this is the one fight where you're getting the most value for somebody that I think is going to win the fight. This is the one fight I think you get the most value. Now, if we get it wrong, we get it wrong. But for me, this is a 1, 2, 3 unit bet where you make all your money on the fight card and you chill, man. You don't have to get everything right. Law of averages will come back to bite you. If we're winning, something's going to miss. So slow down. But for me, I feel comfortable on a prelim saying Malcolm Wellmaker's my guy. He's going to go out there and outclass him and outshine him. But if he doesn't, I still have time to recover and get my units back later on in the card, right? But at the same time, I just think that if you do hit it, chill for the rest of the card. It's a fight night, man. You're not going to get all this shit right. I just feel like Malcolm Wellmaker is a better athlete. I think he's a more dynamic striker. from everything that I've seen. And Cameron Saaiman just has a hole in that regard, and I just can't believe in him and his dedication to this fight game. He's just not an athlete like that. He's not built like that. And mentally, Malcolm Wellmaker's him. And shout out to Augusta, Georgia. I'm a rep Augusta, Georgia all day, so I'm rocking with him. Maybe that's fandom. Maybe you don't want to get down with it. MVPs, listen to what I'm saying. I'm going to speak with conviction. I'm going to speak with confidence in my picks, but you need to listen to what I'm saying, okay? I'm telling you, this is a 50-50 fight. I feel comfortable because I have 97 other units ready to go. If you don't have 97 other units ready to go, locked and loaded, and you don't have you gotta be unconscious with it, right? You just gotta do it, or you're gonna be all bent out of shape and butt hurt, and oh my God, I just lost 3 units and I'm quitting right now. That's your life. But for me, Malcolm Wellmaker's him. I believe he's winning this fight. I don't have to make it a lock because I don't want you to parlay it with anything. I think it's good straight across bet. And I don't even care how he wins. I just hope he does. Your friends don't know, but Rico knows. Good luck, MVPs.